"We're suspending you. Effective now." The words slammed into Nurse Aisha's ears like an electric shock, slicing through her focus as she stood frozen in the hospital corridor, her uniform still damp from her recent efforts. Just minutes earlier, she had defied protocol. Now she stood dumbfounded, clutching a clipboard as colleagues parted around her, whispering and casting judgmental glances. The tension was suffocating. It had started with a man, an elderly veteran, eyes clouded, hands trembling, breathing shallow, slumped in a wheelchair beside triage. Staff glanced away. The front desk clerk deemed him non-critical. But Aisha saw more. The pale skin, the gritted teeth, the drooping shoulders crying out for help. She didn't pause. Grabbing a gurney, she wheeled him into the treatment bay, calling for assistance in a voice that did not ask permission, but issued life-saving orders. The veteran's ID named him Robert Hayes, Korean War survivor, heart decorated with medals, but unknown to most and unregistered in the system. As Aisha knelt beside him, her backstory flickered in memory. Her own grandfather, a veteran she loved dearly, had died waiting for medical help that never came. That memory burned with injustice. So she pushed her fear aside, placed an IV, administered oxygen, and monitored his vital signs. When paramedics finally arrived, the man lay more stable, but Aisha's actions had violated rules. She hadn't waited. She had acted. Now she bore the consequences. A cold-eyed administrator arrived, voice clipped. "You bypassed protocol. Patient not registered. No authorization." The words cut deeper than any blade. Aisha's jaw trembled. "He could have died in that chair," she whispered, fury and fear entwined in her voice. But compassion carried her beyond the limits of procedure, and she paid the price. Within 12 excruciating minutes, she was formally suspended, escorted away as murmurs of "rogue nurse" trailed behind. She found herself in the break room, scrubs crumpled, tears brimming, humiliation burning hotter than the corridor lights. Her colleagues averted their eyes. She stared at the wall, the phone's hum deafening in its electric emptiness. Then everything changed. The doors swung open in a gust of authority and reverence. A 4-star general entered the hospital, medals glinting, stride confident, presence commanding. Conversations fell silent. Phones paused mid-recording. He strode directly toward administration, scanning the faces of those seated, asking calmly but firmly, "Where is the nurse who saved Robert Hayes?" Aisha blinked at the word "saved." She peeked in through a frosted glass pane, her heart pounding as recognition blossomed in the general's gaze. She opened the door, standing there like a soldier called forward. The general's eyes softened. He said quietly, almost to himself, "I owe him my life." Confusion rippled through the room. Aisha swallowed. The general continued, voice strong with memory and gratefulness. "Robert Hayes was the man who pulled me out of a trench under fire in Korea. He saved this country once, and she saved him today." A hush fell. Colleagues stared. Administrators blinked. A general who lived to see that day now spoke. Her defiance was not recklessness. It was heroism. He turned to the director. "You suspended her." The words carried shock that echoed in the walls. The director stuttered. I was following hospital guidelines." The general's voice was softer, but ironclad. "Then your guidelines are flawed. Reinstate her, now, and issue her a commendation." In a single breath, status reversed. Aisha's suspension papers were torn from view. Colleagues approached, tears and apologies mixing with admiration. The veterans waiting in the lobby rose slowly, eyes bright and solemn. One by one, they saluted her. Aisha stood rooted at the center. Their salute spoke volumes. Respect, awe, gratitude. Tears leaked down her cheeks, but this time they were tears of something else. Triumph, recognition, the vindication of doing right when it counted most. Later, the general addressed a small press gathering near the hospital entrance. He spoke clearly. In a world chained by red tape, Nurse Aisha broke every rule, with heart. She put humanity ahead of policy, compassion ahead of procedure. She reminded us that not all heroes wear uniforms. The words soared, carriers of justice, grounding her sacrifice in the light of truth. Robert Hayes survived. Days later, opening his foggy eyes to find Aisha at his side. He whispered, his voice fragile but warmed with gratitude. "Thank you." It was simple, yet in those two words, the weight of everything, life, duty, redemption, shined. As Aisha stepped out into the sunlight that evening, applause rose from veterans in the courtyard, families in the hallway, nurses and doctors who knew her by reputation now knelt by respect. She lifted her head, shoulders straight, pride replacing fear. She had acted when others hesitated. And by doing so, she became something more than a nurse. She became a symbol of moral courage. Sometimes it's not the system that saves, but the courage to break it when lives hang in the balance. True heroes don't ask permission, they act. And even systems fall in line when humanity leads. Imagine Aisha standing amid veterans and staff, applause swelling around her as the general offers a respectful salute and a small nod of deep respect, tears glinting in her eyes as realization and honor flush through her. Before we end this story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear. If this story touched you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know how you feel in the comment.